back, grab yourself a pen. You're gonna need to write down every single one of these books because July was an absolutely killer reading month. I think probably one of the best, if not the best reading month I've ever had, excluding the month where I read the entire Throne of Glass series in a month. Like, this could easily be my best reading month ever. It's a bold claim to make, but I recommend every single one of these books. It was such a strong month. We're gonna dive straight into it. Let's talk about all the books that I read in July. Okay, first up we have The Vows by Jessica Joyce, a story about two exes who come together to try and save or to rescue their other best friend's wedding that has gone disastrously wrong, as in the wedding venue has burnt down, and Eli and Georgia now need to find a new venue, find new supplies, and literally save the day when it comes to their best friend's wedding. And during this period of them working together to rescue this wedding, they reconnect and they find it harder and harder to deny their old feelings, and there's a lot about what happened to them in the past that they haven't discussed. It's a true second chance romance. It's got a lot of emotional depth. I did really enjoy it. There were a few things that niggled me about it that to me lent a little bit into the whole miscommunication trope vibe, and like I really don't enjoy the miscommunication trope, especially. I don't mind like a little bit of it. I don't mind if people like there's miscommunication and then it's resolved pretty quickly, but this book felt like from the beginning, if they had like the whole book felt a lot like they were putting off a conversation they needed to have, and they were like, not yet, like we're not ready to talk about it yet. Especially Georgia, to be honest, being the one that was like, I'm not ready to talk about it, whereas Eli was like, we should talk about it. And it kind of feels like if they just talked about it at the beginning, this entire book would be redundant. So that niggled me a little bit, but I still did really enjoy the story. I still really enjoyed all the side characters. It had everything that you want from like a summery, swoony, quite Emily Henry coded. There's angst and yearning, and there's a little bit of spice, but not too much spice, so it's not overwhelmed with it. I honestly really enjoyed it, and my final rating for this is 4.25. I should probably say I'm roughly reviewing these in order, but I can't remember exactly which order I read these in, so like take it with a pinch of salt, the order that I'm giving you these in. So next up we have Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. I don't need to say much about this. If you haven't seen the reading vlog of me reading it and you want a bit of a giggle at someone literally crashing out on the internet, then go watch that, because that's exactly what I did. I crashed the fuck out when I read this book. This got 5 stars from me. I might as well just get that out of the way now, tell you this is a 5-star read. I had the best time. The yearning in this book through the roof. I love me a golden retriever man with emotional depth. That's my top tier, like that's my type. My type is golden retriever man with emotional depth. Hallie and Rio's love. Oh, they are childhood friends to lovers, which I never used to be a fan of, like childhood friends to lovers, just because I couldn't relate to it in any sense. I never really had like a boy friend of the family. Like my family's best friends with another family, and they have 3 girls, and then like my cousins are girls. So just for all of my childhood was surrounded by a lot of girls, so I just often can't relate to the childhood friends thing at all. But I do agree that there is something about it that hits extra hard when it really feels like 2 people are just meant to be together because they've had such a deep connection for so many years. And Rio and Hallie have that. You honestly don't even need to know anything about the story, just go and read it. But to give you a very brief overview, Rio is a professional ice hockey player, so it's sports romance. We love it. But Rio is a professional ice hockey player, lives in Chicago, that's where the entire Windy City series is based, obviously. And he unknowingly hires Hallie to redecorate her home. She's an interior designer, or she's working for an interior design firm, and they haven't seen each other in a very long time. They haven't spoken in a very long time. Oh, and she's also living next door to him because she's moved into the house next door with like one of Rio's friends that lives next door. So she's like the girl next door again because they grew up and they were like boy girl next door. It's honestly, this book is so good. I don't have any coherent thoughts to describe it to you because my brain is mush when I think about this book and when I read this book. Look, okay, just go read the Windy City series if you like yourself a spicy romance. But there is so much more to this series than the spice. I just think the way that Liz Tomford writes banter and the way she writes men, I can't. She writes book husbands. And even better than the romance, I know that's stupid to say because the romance book, but even better than the romance is the found family, and you get so much of the found family in this final book, in this final installment of the series. The found family is, it's one of the best. It's really, really one of the best. It was just the perfect ending. Like, this book finished the series the way that the series deserved to be finished. Rewind It Back, 5-star, loved it. Then, as you guys know, if you watch the reading vlog, we then went on to reread Caught Up, and The Right Move. I was on a high, vibes were so high, we just had to stick around in Chicago for a little bit longer, and I'm so pleased that I reread these. Kai and Miller have always historically been my absolute favourite couple from the series, so I had to go to them first. There is some kind of magic in this book that is different to all the other books in my opinion. I am an absolute sucker for single dad, and Kai is just an incredible dad, and the way all of the men on the baseball team also look after his son. I mentioned Rewind It Back was about ice hockey. This is about baseball, or the main character is a professional baseball player instead. And like I said, Kai is a 10 out of 10 dad. I love his son Max, is so sweet. And the way that Miller, who is a very successful professional chef, slots into their little family is so perfect. Miller is a professional chef who has very, very high standards for perfection and has lost her spark with work a little bit. So she takes the summer off to actually nanny for Kai and look after Max, because her dad is the coach for the baseball team, and her dad tells her that they need a nanny for the summer. She offers to nanny, and she is chaotic, a little bit wild, and Kai is like very sensible and very measured. The whole thing is just, there's a magic in this book that even though the second time around reading it, there were a couple of things about Miller's relationship with her father that niggled me a tiny little bit this time. And I think because there were some niggles that therefore like can't be a 5-star anymore, which feels kind of wrong. So I might bump this down to like 4.75, but I don't know if I can even do that. Just like sentimentally, I feel disloyal doing that, but it actually didn't hit quite as hard because of that. But the epilogue in this, I love an ending, and a strong epilogue can do a lot for me. The epilogue in this, so good. So incredibly good. That's all I'm going to say on that one, because I don't need to go on about this series too much. Then I read The Right Move, which is Ryan and Indy's story. Ryan is a professional basketball player, so we're really cycling through all the sports here, and he is definitely like the most famous out of all of the male main characters, which are all athletes across all the books in the series. Like, he is kind of like in a different stratosphere, and he finds himself hiding away essentially in his apartment and just hiding away from life because he's so overwhelmed by the fame that's been shoved onto him and the way that he's been treated. He's got some kind of baggage from his past where people basically use him for his fame, or have used him for his fame. And Indy is coming off the back of a breakup where she has been left by, I believe it's her fiance, dumped her, cheated on her, and she is left brokenhearted and moves into Ryan's apartment because she needs somewhere to stay. Indy is an air hostess, and is actually an air hostess for the ice hockey team, so for Rio's team. So Indy and Rio are actually like best friends, so they're all connected. Like, all of the characters across all the books are connected, they're all friends. But Ryan and Indy's story, I reread this and this hit so hard. There is something about their relationship and the dynamic of the two of them that I am obsessed with. I now think that their dynamic and like their story, like I said, there's something about this one that's my favorite, there's something about Caught Up that's my favorite, and they're like very different things. Caught Up has a special kind of magic in it. This relationship, like the chemistry between these two, I don't know. I think I just loved Indy. I love Indy so much, and I love Ryan so much. It's just like individual characters, and I really relate to their relationship in so many ways. Obsessed. My negative of this book is that I don't love the epilogue, and I think the epilogue of this, it's not bad, it just doesn't really hit like the other ones. It kind of felt a bit like kind of nothing. I don't know. It didn't offer what the others offered. And actually, because this is book 2, I in a way almost see just like the other books in the series as like the epilogue for Ryan and Indy's story. So maybe that also knocks it down like a couple of points to like a 4.75 or something. I don't know, guys. I love this series. I love these books. I don't know what to tell you. That is enough of me going on about this particular series. But if that isn't enough of a sign for you guys to read the Windy City series, if you think you might like a very banter-filled, found family-filled, spicy sports romance series, there you go. That's me telling you to read it. Okay, let's move on. Next up, I read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This book was such a surprise to me. I feel like I had so many thoughts about it whilst I was reading it. I was making pages of notes on my phone as if this was some kind of book club book, and I had so much to say. Part of me wants to say this is more women's fiction than romance, but maybe it's actually just like a perfect mix of the two. It's a lot about grief. It's a lot about navigating life with children when you're going through something personally. It's about being both a daughter and a mother at the same time, and how difficult being both can be. My overarching feeling whilst I was reading this was that it's It's like a cumulative book. What I mean by that is like a book that builds as you go, and like whilst I was reading it, it wasn't necessarily hitting that hard, and I was finding the writing style a little bit too... The sentences were like very short and quite blunt almost, and so I didn't really feel like they were drawing me in, and they weren't. There was like a depth maybe missing from the sentence structure. But then like all of a sudden, I could just feel it. Like all of a sudden, all the pages I'd read up until page, I don't know, like 300 or 250 or something, everything just like hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling something this entire time. It was just bubbling under the surface. And all of a sudden, everything hit at once. And then I kind of thought maybe that's exactly what a book should be. It's like quietly building, and then all of a sudden it's there, and you think maybe it was there the whole time. I just didn't even know it was there the whole time. And there were actually so many bits that I really wanted to read out, but now that I'm looking back and reading the bits that I wanted to read to you, they don't sound the same. And again, I think it's because it's got that cumulative effect of some lines just hit so hard for me whilst I was reading them. And I think that's because of all the context that came before. But if you just read a sentence, it's not like one beautiful sentence that you can get in some books that you think, wow, that's like a stellar sentence. But it'll just be like a simple yes, or like a simple short something that hits so hard, having like read everything that came before. Like there's a sentence I've got here that might show you what I mean by it's so blunt. This sentence made me laugh so much when I was reading it, but it's just so nondescript. Like it literally says, Cliffy has liberated a dozen rocks from Pelican Island and we paddle back to the boathouse. And at the beginning, that kind of sentence wouldn't make me feel anything. And then at the end, the concept of Cliffy, who's like this really funny little boy, liberating rocks from an island and like freeing them into the sea because he's lobbing them in. It just creates such a picture in my mind. And this book describes the concept of owning a dog so nicely, because that's what life is like. Joy peppered by loss. It's why you get a dog, and then you get another dog. Madness repeating itself just to get another taste of joy. I turn to him and don't say any of this. And again, it's like that little profound thing that's just peppered in amongst a normal conversation that two people are having. But the concept of the fact that owning a dog is total madness, and it actually references that same concept a couple of times in here of why do we get dogs? Like we know we're going to lose them in our lifetime. We know we're going to have to grieve them. And losing a dog is such a profound, deep level of grief for like so many of us. I'd arguably say just literally for everyone. Losing a dog is like a special kind of awful. Yet we do it again and we do it again and we do it again because the joy that you get from having a dog is so great. I know I'm really going on about this book, but I didn't feel much the whole way through. And then at the end, I was absolutely sobbing. I was fully in tears at the end, especially at the acknowledgements and the author's note. I love an author's note and I love an acknowledgements. Again, you guys know that about me. I was in tears, especially the final bit of the acknowledgements, which I'm just gonna have another little peek at it now. To her husband. Oh, stop. It makes me emotional. I love an acknowledgements, guys. Like I really love an acknowledgements, and if it's a good acknowledgements, oh my gosh, if it's a good acknowledgements, it just hits so hard. All that being said, I actually didn't rate this 5 stars. I've given this book 4.5. I really recommend it. It's so wonderful. I think I didn't give it 5 because I'm not sure how much I'm going to remember the story in the future. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it should be 5. I don't think it's not a 5 stars for me. There's just, you know when it's a 5 stars. Like 5 stars is a when you know kind of a feeling. But 4.5, summer romance, really great. If you want something a little bit more hard hitting than just like a girly fun time, but you still want like the rom-com element, like it was funny, it was swoony, it was sexy, like it still had all of that in it. So that's summer romance. Right, I need to pick up the pace because I've already been yapping for so long and we're only about halfway through. Okay, next up, let's talk about the Natural series. In the month of July, I binged the entire series apart from The Naturals, which is book 1, which I read last year, I believe. So first up, we have Killer Instinct. I can't talk too much about the ins and outs of all these books, obviously, because I don't want to give anything away or spoil anything from book 1. But this is a YA crime mystery thriller series that follows a group of teenagers who have been selected by the FBI to work on cold cases, specifically focused on serial killers. So they are hunting down serial killers in each of the books, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that each of the books kind of follows a serial killer linked to each of the teenagers in the book, or each of the teenagers in the book is kind of a main character in a way. They're all main characters, they all feature really heavily in all of them, but there's kind of a slight skew to one of them being the focus of each of the books, which I really liked, because obviously in book 1 you're following Cassie, and you are following Cassie, she is like the point of view that you're following every single one of the books. But I really liked that because they all have such different skills, so each of these teenagers have been selected to work for the FBI, because of the really specific, really phenomenal special skills each of them have. And I really liked the way that each of the books that followed the first book, we kind of got to focus a little bit more on the different skills of the different teenagers. Like I said, they all feature so heavily. That's definitely not like all of a sudden this is Michael's book or like this is Sloane's book. It's not that explicit, but there was like a bit of a skew, which I really enjoyed. I was on the edge of my seat through every single one of these books. I would say that Killer Instinct, I don't know what I'd give this. Let's say 4.5. Loved it, thoroughly enjoyed it, but not necessarily a 5 stars. All In was a 5-star read for me. Guys, this was so fantastic, this book. Mostly because, again, I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler. I don't think it is, because I think it will literally say it on the back. But this is the book that's like slightly skewed towards Sloane. Sloane must be protected at all costs. Sloane is the teenager in the group who is a little bit more shy. She's a bit more introverted. There's a lot of very big personalities in the group of them, but she's a little bit more shy. She's a bit more introverted. The way that she understands numbers and patterns and sequences is truly so fun to read about, because she's such a freaking genius. And the stakes felt so high in this book. Like, I was fully on the edge of my seat. I was like tense. I literally couldn't put this book down. I raced through it. I now am desperate for a book that is similar to this. I just want more of exactly this. It was so good. And then we had the final book in the series, which I think I'm gonna give 4.5 or maybe 4.75. I loved it. The ending crept up on me too quickly, but that's because I didn't realize that there is a novella in the back of this book which takes up a decent chunk of it. So I thought I had way more to go than I did. So I was still kind of like vibing really strong, and then all of a sudden it was like, that's the end of the book, and I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. I wasn't done, but still so good. It wrapped up the series really well, I think. I think the ending could have been dragged out longer. Again, I can't tell whether that's because I didn't realize it was ending so fast, or whether I do think that the ending was genuinely a little bit rushed. Not sure. I don't feel like I can give a truly objective opinion on that, but I would have liked the ending to go on a little bit longer. And like, this book looks chunky, and it's not as chunky as you think it is. So overall, this series is so good. Another series with such good found family. I'm a sucker for found family. This is one of the best. Oh, sorry, I was mid-rant, but my battery just died. Anyway, long story short, obsessed with this series. If anyone has any recommendations of books that are similar to this, like, please send them my way. I am desperate to read more of like just this. Like, I just want more of this. I've never read The Inheritance Games, so I feel like I should give that a try. Has anybody else also read this and The Inheritance Games? Are they worth reading? I was genuinely terrified. These are meant to be YA. I was scared for my life at several points, especially in Bad Blood. Like, in every single book, basically, the stakes get higher. The stakes get higher, it gets more dangerous, it gets more tense. It's scary and creepy and kind of horrible in some parts, because these serial killers are just awful. But you get so much comedic relief from the group of them, like all of the teenagers being together, and how insanely like funny and fantastic they are at what they do, that it just blend. It's just like a perfect blend. Like, this is a 5-star series for me, and All In actually ended up going on the Hall of Fame for the book journal, because I just need this series to get some formal recognition in the journal for the year. That's how much I loved it. Next, sticking with the YA theme, I read Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, which is the second book after Better Than the Movies, and I had such a good time reading this book. I also audiobooked a lot of it. I kind of alternated between the audiobook and this. The audiobook was also so brilliant. I love Wes and Liz. I love how goofy and cheesy and corny and silly Liz is, and I love the way the audiobook brought Liz's character to life was so good. It's just, I don't feel like there's loads to say about this book other than it's just so sweet and so wholesome, and it is swoony, but in just like the loveliest way. There's absolutely no spice in it. You don't need a drop of it. It's just wonderful. And if you also like yourself like a cheesy girly rom-com, just read these books. Like, read both of these books. If you like any of the classic rom-coms, I think both of these books will make your heart just so happy. I just loved it. I loved it. I don't know if I gave it 5 stars. I'm not sure if I did. I think I'm gonna give this 4.5 again, or 4.75. Like, all of these books, I'm telling you guys, every single book I read in July was so good. I think all of these could different points get bumped up to 5 or like slightly lower? Like, I don't, if any of these books were in other months, some of the months we've had so far this year, probably if I'd read any of these books in those other months, they'd all have been 5-star just by comparison. On to the final book that I read of the month, and just to show you in the book journal, the book that I rated for July's book of the month, which means yes, I gave it 5 stars. And that is Love and Other Words. So in the book journal, I wrote wonderful, 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 wholesome, sweet, a childhood friends to lovers that I won't forget. Also Elliot, ... yes, underlined twice. So July's book of the month is Love and Other Words. I just was completely sucked into this story. I might go as far as to say the best prologue of any book I've ever read. I remember reading the prologue and then finishing the prologue and being like, whoa. Like, is this really what's happening right now? Because I love Christina Lauren, and I've had such a whale of a time reading 2 of their other books, The Unhoneymooners and The Paradise Problem. This is so different to those 2 books. This is so full of heart and emotional depth and teenage angst. Elliot is so incredibly swoon-worthy. It's dual timeline, bouncing between when they're children and they're falling in love for the first time, and then when they're adults and they haven't seen each other for such a long time. There is topics of grief and there's some trauma, but it's so wonderfully done, and the little quirks of their relationship, the way they have this favorite word thing that they say to each other, which is why it's called Love and Other Words, because Elliot and Macy often ask each other, like, what's your favorite word today? Or like, what's your favorite word at the moment? And you get these sprinklings of all these incredible words that half sum up how they're feeling at the moment, and so they can kind of use these favorite words as almost like a secret language between each other when they're not really sure how to express how they feel, as both pretty like introverted, bookish children. It's just wonderful. And again, I am such a broken record, it's so boring, but I loved the acknowledgements, and if the acknowledgements make me cry, then it's a 5-star. I don't make these rules. This is one of those books that I just think everyone would enjoy. I'm not necessarily saying everybody would give it 5 stars, but everybody would enjoy this book because it's so full of heart and it's so wholesome, and you want to wrap like little Elliot and little Macy like up in a blanket, and you just love watching their story unfold so much. But then like old 30-year-old Elliot you're like swooning over, and it has a little bit of everything. There is definitely something in me where when it comes to my 5-star reads, I have like a complete inability to describe them and to actually articulate what I enjoyed about the book and what I didn't enjoy about the book, or just be like an actual book reviewer. I can't seem to do it for the 5-star ones. Whereas the 4 stars or like anything less, I feel like I can be really constructive, I can be really specific, I have a lot more cohesive, detailed thoughts. Like Summer Romance, I have honestly pages of notes written about that book. And then my 5 stars, my brain is just like, bleh. Like I don't, bleh, it's just been melted, it's gone. So this is another one of those. 5 stars, can't tell you much about it because it kind of broke my brain, but I really loved it. And that, guys, is a wrap on the month of July. This is the most number of books that I've read in a month this whole year by quite a considerable way. I think by a good like 3 books or something. I don't need to go on any more about how much I enjoyed reading these books this month. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know if you're going to put any of these on your TBR after hearing me rant about them. Let me know if there's any similar to be honest, any of these books that you think that I should read. I am in such a reading flow right now. Vibes are so high. I want to keep it going. If any of these are like your favorite book and you found other books that hit a similar spot, then please let me know. Otherwise, here's hoping that August is going to be just as good as July. We're off to a great start with the August reads already. I can't wait to tell you all about them in next week's reading vlog. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're in the middle of such a lovely book, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.